Ubisoft has a problem. Let's talk about it. Now, this is going to be one of those pretentious deep dives, so you could just listen podcast style. Honestly, this is not a bash parade, but Ubisoft has been going through a really rough patch. And since we watched a 30-minute video on business and marketing, I think we're qualified to talk about it and find a solution. Now, first of all, I would like to state I am aware of the article on toxic work environment that has been plaguing Ubisoft. I don't agree with it, but since I'm not Jason Schreier, I don't know much about this situation, we will not be discussing it. This video is dedicated to just the problem their games are facing. If you like the content, guys, and you want to see more essays like this and deep dives like this, please like, share, and subscribe. I have been a fan of Ubisoft since the early 2000s, and it has continued into the mid 2010s. I've always liked their can-do nature because they approve a lot of big IPs and they dabble into a lot of genres. Now, we are going to talk about the issues, what has gone wrong at Ubisoft. Games missing sales target, a toxic work environment, a lot of cancellations, and a lot of their games being absolutely mediocre. So sit back and let's go through the history of Ubisoft. Now, if we are going to understand what has gone wrong in the present, we need to talk about the past. We need to understand what built the empire that is Ubisoft, because it is what is ending it right now. So with some Wikipedia level journalism, we can talk about the history of Ubisoft. Ubisoft, which is so weird to say, but stood for Ubiquitous Software, initially operated out of offices in Paris. It was started by the Guillemot family. See my pronunciation, I've been watching a lot of Emily in Paris. It was started by the five brothers, Christian, Claude, Gerard, Michael, and Yves. In 1988, the company had about 6 developers working from the chateau, and Michael Ancel, yes, that Michael Ancel, started playing with an animated game which caught the interest of one of the Guillemot brothers. So they put together a studio of 100 developers, and they targeted the 5th generation of consoles, which was the Atari and the PlayStation. And this game came to be Rayman Legends, which was released in 1995. Ubisoft, I'm sorry guys, that's how I'm going to be calling it until we get to the point when they change their name, eventually established their worldwide studios in Annecy, Shanghai, Montreal, and Milan. This led to them wanting a foothold in the American market, so they opted to buy an established IP. They were able to then purchase Ubisoft Entertainment, giving them access to the Tom Clancy series of stealth and spy games. The company also got a major foothold when Microsoft agreed to develop the Tom Clancy Splinter Cell as an Xbox exclusive title to challenge the PlayStation exclusive Metal Gear Solid series by combining elements of the Tom Clancy series with elements of an in-house developed game called The Drift. In March 2001, Ubisoft purchased the Learning Company, which had divisions from Interactive, Mindscape, and Strategic Solution. This sale included intellectual properties to games like The Mist and Prince of Persia. This led to Ubisoft developing the Prince of Persia title into the Prince of Persia Sands of Time we knew and loved now in 2003. So enough with the history, let's talk about the blue swirl of success. On 9th of September 2003, Ubisoft announced that it would change its name to Ubisoft, thank God, and introduced a new logo called the Swirl. This was prime Ubisoft. They were at the top of their game, they were popping out games left and right. But if you notice from this roundabout history lesson I just gave you, Ubisoft has never made an original game besides Rayman or Good and Evil, which weren't really successful financially. The entire Tom Clancy list of games were purchased from Red Storm, Splinter Cell was a Metal Gear Solid counter. Prince of Persia were purchases from the leathering company that developed into their own IP. Far Cry was bought from Crytek. South Park was bought from THQ. Driver was bought from Atari. Even Assassin's Creed was an evolution of Prince of Persia. I say all this so you understand Ubisoft has never really been known as the company that conceives original ideas. But you have to give it to them. They know how to see a diamond in the rough and make it their own. They could see a similarly small IP with a lot of potential, acquire it, give it a very drastic makeover and make a killing. So from 2003 to 2017 was prime Ubisoft. They shipped titles like the Splinter Cell trilogy of games with 2 more titles. You know them. They shipped the Prince of Persia trilogy with one cell shaded game we're not going to talk about, and Forgotten Sands that I liked, wasn't too bad. They shipped a lot of Tom Clancy stuff. They shipped a lot of Far Cry. Too many, because I don't think I've finished any Far Cry since Far Cry 4. They also did a lot of movie licensed games, and they also released the Just Dance series and The Crew. Let's just say the Blue Swirl came with a lot of success, and Ubisoft joined the elite club of video game publishers and became a billion-dollar valued company. Now, there's a yin and there's a yang, and now we are the black swirl of mediocrity. Now, this is where I categorize as Ubisoft's greatest problems concentrating at. And Ubisoft actually has 2 major problems. The first problem is the biggest success of Ubisoft is also his biggest crutch. Ubisoft was never a pioneer. And honestly, it's not necessarily a bad thing. There have been fighting games that came before Street Fighter, but Capcom perfected it. Ubisoft was always a company of seconds. They will see a new genre emerging and go after it. This will involve buying an established property or tailor an already established IP to go against it. Splinter Cell was to combat Metal Gear. You know what, guys? Racing games are really successful. Let's make The Crew. We need a first-person shooter to occupy the space. Let's purchase Far Cry. People seem to really like this Breath of the Wild. Let's approve Immortal Phoenix Rising. Oh my god, everybody's going gaga about Battle Royale. Let's make Hyperscape. Everything Ubisoft has made has been to rival an already working formula. And honestly, I respect it. And most of these games were actually really good. But this success is what has brought Ubisoft to the problem it faces now. The problem with constantly doing this is you have to show on studios to go after this trend. And after the success Ubisoft has enjoyed, it has not been the same because these games don't have a distinct identity. Because right now, gamers are not willing to jump ship from the established original to the Ubisoft homage. Let's take for instance Hyperscape. I think it's a way better done battle royale than something like Radical Heights. But there just wasn't enough in the tank to warrant people to play it. The problem is Ubisoft has to convert a studio to make these games. And as talented as people are working in these studios, Ubisoft cannot go against a Respawn that has decades of experience perfecting shooters. Now look at another game like The Crew, a game that is not bad in my opinion. Tell me, what is going to make a driving game made by Ubisoft top a driving game made by Playground or Codemasters? There is just not enough juice in the tank to make a standard driving game a dedicated fan will want to port to. Let's look at The Division. I absolutely love The Division. But I think, now don't quote me on this, Ubisoft had already tested trying to make Destiny and Warframe before they settled on buying Massive, and just use Division as their counter. Assassin's Creed is probably the last original franchise besides For Honor, and look at how successful that has been. Even though I was a little bit unhappy that Assassin's Creed affected the development of more Prince of Persia games, but I am a very big fan of that franchise too. The problem with this formula is you don't really get original ideas when you trust an IP on a studio to make. Some of their new IPs suffer for this. And even though some of these games have been born from internal teams pitching them, but everything Ubisoft has been making of late has been a result of trend chasing, and this has led to where they are right now. The problem with trend chasing is you won't get dedication, you won't get the complete dedication from a studio. When you tell someone all of a sudden you are going to be building a battle royale, it will never pan out as the studio organically saying they want to make a battle royale. The second problem is that gamers have gotten fiercely loyal over the years. Back then, people weren't really tied to consoles and franchises. People were ready to experiment, but gamers have gotten fiercely loyal over the years, and people are just not ready to jump ship anymore if you are not bringing something truly unique to the table. Now, in the past 7 months, 6 games have been cancelled from Ubisoft. You have a game dubbed as an Overwatch style game called Project Q. There are also rumors of more battle royales being cancelled. This is Ubisoft's first problem. It shows a studio that has gotten really stagnant and they need to start developing actual fresh ideas so that it can dominate the space again. I remember the first time I saw For Honor. I was so intrigued. It was the most thrilling thing I had seen in a while for Ubisoft. It just had something different about it. But of course, in classic Ubisoft fashion, they fumbled it at launch. Although it has really gotten and picked up and is in a very, very nice state right now. This is the first problem that is plaguing Ubisoft. Now this is the second problem. I have a teeny tiny background in game design, very tiny. I use Unreal Engine 5 for architectural presentations. I think Ubisoft has a big server which all its studios pull assets from and repurpose them into all its titles. Now, every studio does this in some capacity. You have repurposed assets and all that. It's not a big deal. That there's a lot of manpower that goes into creating games, and these are things that you employ to make you work smarter. But Ubisoft uses it way too much. Every Ubisoft game has looked like one massive checklist of every single mechanics Ubisoft has been known for. Let's go through the checklist. The game needs a bloated, massive world too big to explore. Check. The game needs some collectibles too annoying to collect, but the gamer's OCD will not allow them ignore it. Check. The game needs some RPG mechanics built around frustrating you by drip feeding you progression until you pay for an XP boost. Check. The game will have a lot of customizations that are probably locked behind some paywall. Check. I honestly don't mind the money-hungry nature of Ubisoft. I believe they have given us really fantastic single-player games over the years. So if they want to, get some money, it's not a bad idea. At least they're still not as bad as EA. But even EA knows that massive single-player IPs like Last Jedi should be left alone to protect the image. The problem I have with Ubisoft is every game of theirs feels the same when you strip it down to its core. Forget the fact that Watch Dogs involves guns and Assassin's Creed involves swords. both games feel the same to their core element. It's the same thing, they have a massive open world. You go through missions, you collect fetch quests. There's really nothing making them feel apart. Do you remember those scenes in the present for Assassin's Creed? Watch Dogs almost feels, and I think I heard it that Watch Dogs was born from that. But still, the way the characters sprint, fight, the way they give missions, the way the side missions are given, everything just feels like I am just experiencing a modern day Assassin's Creed. Let's even look at the Assassin's Creed IP, which is basically Ubisoft's frontrunner. I am 50-50 when it comes to the new direction of Assassin's Creed. On one hand, I understand the games needed an infusion of new energy, and I liked Origins and following game. Not Valhalla. Definitely not Valhalla, Odyssey. And I also liked the old direction. The problem is that the new games feel like a less interesting Witcher. Now, I could not finish Valhalla. That's the first Assassin's Creed game I have never finished. It just felt like a waste of time. I really hope Mirage brings something to the table. All these games form the core problem at Ubisoft. Everything has gotten too formulaic. Gamers are tired. They want something new. Ubisoft games, beside titles like Just Dance, Mario Rabbids and The Crew, it almost feels like they all have a unifying mechanic. Yes, and maybe something like The Division. Every game feels like it is towing one predestined path, and this just doesn't make sense. I don't even want to talk about Far Cry. I think that's just bloated and boring ever since Far Cry 4. Now, the issue is, I'm not trying to hate on all these games. The issue is that there actually is a good game hidden in all this pile of fetch quests. Ubisoft just needs to allow studios trim the fat. It feels like Ubisoft just wants to keep you in an uninspired game world for as long as it can without any true substance. Ubisoft needs to allow its teams truly innovate. These titles don't need to be shelved. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, all the Ubisoft titles need to be shelved. But these games need to feel distinct. I saw Beyond Good and Evil, and the sequel, it looked incredible. I thought this is the start of a new era, but I'm not holding my breath. I have a feeling that game has probably been cancelled internally. This is a lot of titles that run from Ubisoft that it almost feels like mechanics are just being shipped from title to title. Look at Skull and Bones and why it's probably going to fail. People already know what the gameplay cycle is going to be like. Receive missions, go fight ships, gain XP, buy ship cosmetics, then probably have some flimsy collectibles of if you pick up a stranded crew member at sea, they offer new songs for you to sing in your ship. These two problems form the core of what is plaguing Ubisoft right now. These are my final thoughts and obviously the solution. As much as the bulk of this video has been bashing Ubisoft, we also need to offer a bit of a solution, and I have no idea. Running a company that big is not easy, and I think Yves Guillemot has been an exceptional CEO. Yes, his recent comments have been harsh and really uncouth, but he has fought off two hostile takeovers, one in 2010 by EA and another by Vivendi in 2017, and he has fought tooth and nail to keep Ubisoft independent. I honestly admire him a lot. He seems like someone who cares about video games, and Ubisoft hires so many people all around the world. It have a very strong business model, but the thing is, Ubisoft was built on the very problem that has brought them so much success. So how do you tell someone to change what has brought them so much success and tell them that that formula is no longer working? I think Ubisoft buying small IPs, repurposing games, and chasing emerging genres won't work anymore. Gamers have really become set in their ways. If you aren't bringing something truly genuine into the new space, people are unlikely to jump ship. They also need to stop this cross-pollination of development ideas. Let IPs feel actually distinct. Ubisoft should allow its studios do what they pay them to do, actually create, and not keep recycling the same boring ideas over and over again. I will always champion Ubisoft. They don't kill IPs like some people. But I am scared for Ubisoft. And investors might eventually give in because Tencent has a lot more money to burn than Vivendi or EA. I really want Ubisoft to come back to what it was. Let's go back to the blue swirl of success and forget this modernized logo. I really enjoyed making this video, guys, because Ubisoft is special to me. I would also like your suggestions in the comment section, things I got wrong, some of your thoughts, and let's come together and try and fix the problem. This isn't some bashing parade. I don't want the comment section to be littered with people bashing Ubisoft. There are a lot of hardworking people in these studios, and honestly, from one gamer to a developer, I just want to tell you that we appreciate all your hard work. And this is not some lost cause. Ubisoft is in still a way better position than Capcom, and if Capcom can turn it around, Ubisoft can definitely turn it around. I'm very grateful. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and there's some other videos you could check out on my channel. Thanks for watching. Peace.